You know, you go through another season, you invest all that hope, all that energy, you watch them fight, and then it ends the same way. Again, another early exit. It just hurts. And right when you're trying to process that familiar sting, the whispers start. The talk of change. The DNA change that the GM says is needed. And then this. A trade idea so significant, so tied to the very fabric of this team, that it makes you just stop and say, wait, what? Are we seriously talking about trading Morgan Rielly? It feels almost impossible, but an insider is linking the Leafs to a potential swap that involves their longest tenured player. Let's just try to make sense of this. The pain is real, Leafs fans. Another season ended far too soon. Another promising roster unable to get over the hump. General Manager Brad Treliving didn't hide from reality, stating plainly that the team needs a DNA change. That phrase, DNA change, immediately signals that no one, or at least very few players, should feel completely safe. While much of the focus has been on the core forwards, the defense core is also under the microscope. How can they improve a blue line that, at times, looked solid, but ultimately wasn't enough? This is where a truly striking trade proposal emerges, courtesy of NHL insider Ryan Dixon of Sportsnet. Dixon has floated the idea that the Toronto Maple Leafs could look to acquire Calgary Flames star defenseman Rasmus Andersson, and that the price for Andersson could potentially involve Morgan Rielly. Here's the core Dixon suggestion. Andersson would bring a puck-moving element Toronto's defense core could use, and the Leafs would really be set on the right side with Andersson, Tanev, and trade deadline pickup Brandon Carlo. He didn't stop there, adding the truly controversial part. Any chance Calgary would look at Morgan Rielly as part of return? It sure feels like the longest tenured Leaf, who holds full no-movement projection, could benefit from a scenery change, and removing him from the books would help with keeping Andersson around long-term. Let's focus on Rasmus Andersson first. He's a 27-year-old right-shot defenseman. This is important because Rielly shoots left, and the Leafs could use more high-end talent on the right side. Andersson is a reliable two-way player known for his smart positional play and ability to move the puck effectively. Last season for the Flames, he registered 11 goals and 20 assists for 31 points in 81 games. He's entering the final year of a very cap-friendly 6-year, $27.3 million contract, carrying a $4.55 million average annual value. Bringing in Andersson would, as Dixon suggests, solidify the right side of the Leafs defense, potentially forming a strong trio with Chris Tanev and Brandon Carlo. His puck-moving ability could help the team transition better from their own end. However, if the Leafs would trade for him, they would almost certainly want to sign him to a long-term extension, and that new deal would undoubtedly be for more than his current $4.55 million cap hit. Now, the difficult part, Morgan Rielly. He's been a Leaf for over a decade, drafted by the team in 2012. He's been through the absolute worst years and the highest points of the recent era. He's an offensive engine from the blue line, a dynamic skater, and a key part of their power play. Last season, he put up 58 points in 72 games. He's signed through the 2029, the 2030 season with an $8 million cap hit. The biggest obstacle to any Rielly trade is his full no-movement clause. Morgan really has complete control over where or if he gets traded. He has to waive that clause. Would he agree to go to Calgary? It's hard to say. As much as a change of scenery might be suggested, leaving the only NHL organization you've ever known is a massive personal decision. Trading really would, however, free up that $8 million in cap space, which is a significant amount that could be used to sign Andersson long-term and potentially address other roster needs. If Rielly were willing to waive his NMC for Calgary, what would the Flames demand in return for Andersson? Beyond Rielly, this is where the Leafs face a significant challenge. Ryan Dixon points out that Toronto has already used a lot of its trade capital in recent deals, acquiring players like Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton. The Leafs currently do not own a first-round draft pick for the next 3 years, 2025, 2026, and 2027. Their prospect pool, outside of a few key names, is considered relatively thin after previous trades. They've already moved prospects like Fraser Minton and Nikita Grabenkin. Dixon suggests that to acquire Andersson, the Leafs would likely need to include their top two prospects, forward Easton Cowan and defenseman Ben Danford. Cowan is highly regarded and seen as a potential future core piece. Danford is a promising defensive prospect. The question becomes, is giving up their top two prospects, plus Morgan Rielly, worth acquiring Rasmus Andersson and shedding Rielly's contract? That's a steep price, reflecting the limited assets the Leafs have left to work with. Adding another layer of complexity, GM Brad Treliving recently commented on his defense group. He seemed generally positive about the unit he's put together, mentioning players like Carlo, Tanev, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson. He stated, "In today's game, I like the length of our defense. I like the makeup of our defense." However, he also acknowledged the need for improvement, specifically mentioning the need to get more offense from our defense, and that they can't be rigid. This is where the Rielly Andersson idea gets interesting. While Rielly is undoubtedly the more offensive defenseman, perhaps the DNA change involves a different type of offense on the blue line, or a different offensive structure enabled by players like Andersson, Tanev, and Carlo. The Leafs also currently have 7 NHL defensemen under contract for next season, creating a roster logjam that suggests some movement is necessary, even if it's not really. So, is this trade idea just speculation or a genuine possibility? Ryan Dixon's proposal of trading Morgan Rielly for Rasmus Andersson is certainly a bold and emotionally charged one for the fan base. It offers potential benefits, solidifying the right side of the defense, adding a different puck-moving element, and freeing up significant cap space. However, it comes with massive hurdles. Rielly's no movement clause and the significant price and prospects the Leafs would likely have to pay due to their limited asset pool. It's a move that aligns with the idea of a DNA change, but it's also a move that would fundamentally alter the identity of the team by moving a player who's been a constant presence for so long. Given the repeated playoff failures and the urgency to win with the current core, difficult decisions are inevitable. This trade idea highlights just how difficult and potentially painful those decisions might be. It's a high-stakes gamble that could reshape the Leafs' blue line for years to come, but it requires navigating complex contractual issues and sacrificing valuable future assets. All right, Leafs Nation, I know this one is tough to even think about. Trading Morgan Rielly? What's your gut reaction? Does this trade idea make any sense to you, or is it completely off the table? Let me know your thoughts, your feelings, your frustrations, and your own off-season ideas in the comments section below. Let's talk about it. And if you appreciate us digging into these tough topics and bringing you the latest insider speculation, please hit that like button. Your support means the world and helps us keep creating content for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon with more exclusive reports.